Alrighty, it's Sunday evening, and that can only mean one thing. It's time to bury those corpses that I've been storing in my dining room all weekend. But first, I have to do the super chats from the other night, and MauLer has been gracious enough to give me some of his time to do this, so thanks for coming on, man.
No problemo.
Yeah, I've got my rum at the ready, and I've got a list of super chats to get through, so it's all good. And hello to everyone who's joining us this evening for this. And hello to all my lovely mods who are going to be doing a great job as always, I'm sure. So I guess we can just dive right into it, can't we? There's no need to fuck around with this one, because one does not fuck around when it comes to Lord of the Rings.
It's true.
Yeah. All right, well, let's see what we got for the first one. So if my math is correct, this is as far as I got the other night when we were doing this. It was from Frozen in the 80s, and he said, "Hail drinker and guests. The middle movie can sometimes be the best and worst of a trilogy. What would you guys consider as the best, and what would be your worst?" I think I can guess what your worst is going to be. It's probably going to be the same as mine. The worst movie, the middle movie in a trilogy.
Is it too obvious?
I mean, is it directed by a man with an extremely round head?
I think so.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, well, you kind of that's kind of the only answer, I think. Worst middle movie of a trilogy, if that's the question.
Yeah.
Because everyone usually agrees. Like, even though TFA was pretty bad, it had things you could have used.
Yeah,
could have made something out of it.
There was some mystery boxes there that could have been opened by someone with a bit of brains, and they might have contained something interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as for best ones, though, I mean, yeah, like I can see why the middle movie of a trilogy is sometimes kind of problematic, because you're not only continuing a story where it left off, but you've got to then set up the foundations for the final one, so you're kind of stuck with not having great resolutions. But yeah, you could tell a great little sort of self-contained story in its own right, I guess. Like, Empire Strikes Back is pretty good proof of that.
Yeah.
I've always got a soft spot for Back to the Future too as well. I really like that one.
I haven't seen it in ages, but yeah, I remember liking it a lot.
Yeah. I think the consensus seems to be like they go in decline in order. Like the first one's amazing, second one's pretty great, and third one's a little bit weak. But you know what? All three are pretty fucking good in my book, so I'm all right with it. All right. Crusty Jugglers said, "Wouldn't it be nice if annoying, preachy characters that constantly virtue signal were replaced by Sam? What happened to timeless universal messages?" I think every movie could be benefited by the addition of Sam. He's just like the MVP of Lord of the Rings. But yeah, I mean, what happened to timeless universal messages? Well, they've been replaced by the message rather than universal messages. But yeah, what can I say, man? That's the direction they've chosen to go for the past 5 years or so. Marshall Seed says, "Funny enough, I just finished rewatching the cinematic Venom EFAP, so this should be a welcome breath of fresh air." There we go.
Quite an EFAP, that one.
What was that, when you were actually doing the first Venom?
No, so that's the creator, cinematic Venom. Yeah.
Oh, right, sorry, yeah.
He had a lot to say
I misread
about
that one.
Good old Lord of the Rings.
Right, okay. Weston 487, he said, "Hail, happy St. Paddy's Day to all. Love you guys. You're the best." Thank you very much. And very much appreciated. John Dorsey said, "Thank God you saved me from Everton versus Newcastle." Well, anything we can do, Craig Wilson said, "Gents, thank you for all the countless hours of entertainment and insight while I do my work. Much respect to you all. Do Orc lives matter? I say no. Please discuss. Glory to Ukraine." Okay. Do Orc lives matter, MauLer? I want to hear your take on this.
I mean, there's probably some neat ones out there, maybe. Thing is, they're just so aggressive, running at you, killing you. It's like, what are you doing? And their
army. I've got a soft spot for Gothmog.
He seems kind of nice sometimes,
Well, he's a doer, isn't he? He's an achiever. This guy who probably got dealt a rough hand in life, and he's risen to the very pinnacle of his profession. So I think he deserves a bit of respect for that. So I'd say they're all right. Uruk-hai lives matter, I would say, not so much regular orcs, because the Uruk-hai are better. How's your Sunday going? My Sunday's been great. I've been doing productive stuff outside. I've had to like repair shit around my house, so great stuff. Like real rock star lifestyle I've been living today. But it's nice to actually be outside for a while. Like we've had a rare bit of sunny weather in the UK, so shit, man, you got to grab that while it lasts. Geno Ryzen said half. What's this? Half two films for Rankin Bass for all to see. One for Ralph Baxi, rotoscoped stones. 6 came from Jackson, but should have been 3. One series from the Dumb Lord on his sad throne. From the, and then it goes on. Amazon where dreams go to die. One Amazon to ruin them, one Amazon to grind them, one Amazon to wring them dry, and with dark malice prime them. From the warehouses of Amazon where dreams go to die.
That's the way to put
damn,
it.
I feel blackpilled after that. Yeah, that is a great bit of that's a great bit of poetry there. Thank you, my friend. Charles Hurst said the ride of the Rohirrim in Return of the King has got to be one of the best scenes ever put to film. It's even better when you know the historical inspiration. I mean, it's a good one, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I don't think you can fault it really. Yeah, I love Theoden, how he doesn't really bother with a big like inspirational speech. He just screams like death.
They know what they're there to do.
Yeah, no fucking around there. What is the historical inspiration for that one actually?
I'm not sure.
I'm gonna check. All right, let's see. What does it say? There's nothing really definitive here that I can see. Like, I mean, I guess a lot of it was inspired by his experiences in World War One. I don't know if that's perhaps some of it. Someone suggested the Charge of the Light Brigade. I mean, maybe. Polish hussars at Vienna. It could be like, like I say, when I was looking on Google there was nothing really definitive about it, so I'm not quite sure what the historical basis of it is. But as far as movie scenes go, yeah, it's pretty fucking incredible. Candy Jack says Gary's room is starting to come together. I see. It is, man. He's only got like 2,000 more action figures to pin up on the walls. Damn, I do not envy him having to like move locations. That's got to be a nightmare. But hey, apart from the internet apparently being a bit shit in Texas, he's doing good. So all good, man. JB said, first time getting to catch you guys live. Just wanted to thank you all for the content, always sticking it to woke Hollywood and the message. Any truth to the rumor Az has been cast as Batwoman for season 4?
Definitely hoping for it.
With that cat and the way he was like holding it in a sinister fashion, I think he could be a pretty good villain for Batwoman. Catwoman, Batwoman, I don't even know now. Any of those women, he could be a good foil for them, I reckon. Ged Billow says, as Gary MauLer, drink her together. Am I gay? Not when it's for us. It's totally fine in that case. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed us. FD Link said, can we talk about Helm's Deep Tisms? The toss me scene where 2 take on 200. The final charge where their horses become invulnerable bulldozers.
Yeah.
There's bits.
Yeah.
There is bits.
I would call it a little bit of plot armor, yeah.
It's funny as well because obviously when they shot that scene, they just shot like a bunch of guys on horseback riding into nothing. And if you look carefully, the guys at the back are swinging their swords, even though there's nothing to swing at when they're riding down the causeway. Just purely because like they didn't know what they were going to be actually fighting against when it came to actually compositing the scene together. But hey, every movie's got its little tisms, I suppose, and I suppose that is one of the little things I could point out about this film. Like it uses Gimli as a bit too much comic relief, maybe at times. You know, like there's a bit where just before they get attacked by the wargs, and he just falls off his horse, just for no reason. It's just like man slips on banana peel, like horse falls off. Sorry, dwarf falls off horse, just for no reason.
Yeah, I don't. Too much is a little. I'm not sure how we would figure it out. You know, I guess you saying like you would have preferred a bit more of another dimension to his character, maybe something else.
I think so, like more, because he obviously gets serious moments, like when they're in Moria and stuff like that. Like obviously that's pretty heavy dramatic stuff for him.
Yeah.
In this one, it's a bit more like he's got that, you know, buddy cop thing going on with Legolas, and they've got that friendly rivalry thing, but not many sort of heavy dramatic scenes for Gimli, and it's quite heavy on the comedy from his point of view, and it's mostly like just kind of making fun of him. It doesn't ruin it or anything. I just might like to see it balanced out a little bit better. But hey, it's not the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Valdez says, "Come on, guys, Helm's Deep was too short, and Frodo and Sam are gay, and Aragorn isn't a character. Cinematic venom."
Yeah.
Were that his arguments?
Some of many.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, man. There's like there's scenes between Frodo and Sam where it's obviously like a very close relationship, and you know they're risking their lives for each other. And I can just see how people would love to reinterpret that as like, yeah, that Frodo's totally gay for Sam. It's not necessary. So why do you have to do this to every character?
Yeah, they gotta be gay.
Jim said, "Happy Paddy's Day from Ireland. Good crew for this. Thanks, man." And it was great to have everyone on. Happy birthday, Polly says, "Any chance of cinematic venom for Happy Hour Return of the King?" I mean, if the arguments that he's making are kind of in line with what we saw there, I don't think he'd make a great guest. Yeah, doesn't sound great. Jean-Rene Cavalho-Corsi says, "Hail everyone, it's funny that Two Towers is the shorter book, but actually has the longer screen time of the movies. Regards from Brazil." Yeah, I mean, I guess it's how much you want to take from it and represent on the screen. Like I know Fellowship, they cut a fair bit out just to make a more streamlined narrative, and maybe that was just the nature of it. They could put a lot more in for Two Towers, or maybe more of it was necessary to tell the complete story. I mean, damn, you get the extended cut. That's like what, close to 4 hours, is it?
I think so. Yeah. I always forget what it is that they're all together. Like, is it 12 or was it more than that?
I think it's like a pretty solid day's viewing anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's pretty serious stuff. Right, Karen Took the Kids says, "Any idea why Jackson chose to stain his reputation as a true host for Tolkien's world by agreeing to make The Hobbit? Money is the easy answer, but the idea that he ever needed to work again after Lord of the Rings counters that. God bless." I don't know if we were talking about this, but was he not brought in kind of late in the game?
As far as I know, yeah, and there was a lot of things. It was going to be a lot better, and then it got stretched into 3 from 2 films, right? There was a lot of things that happened to it that damaged it, and I'm pretty sure that Love Triangle was a studio thing.
Yeah,
everyone hates the Love Triangle.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot to criticize about The Hobbit. I mean, I've made no secret of that. I've got very little love for those movies. But yeah, I mean, like the argument that he didn't need to work again after Lord of the Rings, it's fair enough, but I'd imagine as a director, he would just want to, like, regardless of money, you don't want to just like stop making movies. G-Man Jose says, "When are we getting Edgar Wright's Last Night in Soho video?" It'll come. Don't you worry, my friend. I'll get that done. Ubu Roy says, "Opening a bottle of Ardbeg while I'm enjoying John Howe's sketches from Bag End to Mordor and a Lord of the Rings stream." I mean, that's a pretty good way to spend your evening, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
Miner69er says, so what's this then? My 4 favourite YouTubers talking about part 2 of my favourite trilogy. It must be my birthday. Oh, it actually is my birthday. Slange, I'll raise a glass of bumbo to you. Well, that's fucking convenient because I've got a bottle of it right here. So I'll raise a glass to you, sir. I'm sorry it's a few days too late, but Miner69er, happy birthday, man. Brenton Palmer says, what a stream to wake up to. My favourite lads talking about one of my favourite films. If this doesn't cure my coof, nothing will. Love you guys. Cheers, matey. And yeah, if you've got the coof, I hope you get over it quickly.
Yeah.
Matthew Spades, my 4 favourites. This is an epic stream. Gary, did you find the Frank Frazetta Lord of the Rings artwork? As you missed beef stroganoff for dinner. Drinker, you need to watch Boondock Saints. MauLer, I'm missing the ER streams.
I don't know where he is. Oh wait, do they mean Elden Ring?
I think so, yeah.
Look, ER hasn't made a video in like years now, but yes, Elden Ring. I beat it. I don't know if I'll stream it again. Maybe.
I feel like we've all been told there, and he's put us all to rights. Stybeck B said, trust me, Drinker, you will feel represented in Cyberpunk 2077. The idea of 2 personalities fighting for control over your body, and whiskey, lots of it. Sounds all right then. Count me in. Flashy Vic said, the only problem I have with 2 Towers is the slope when they charge to relieve Helm's Deep. It's far too steep. I'd break an ankle walking it, never mind 10,000 horses going down it. Otherwise, perfect. I did look at that actually and think, yeah, that's pretty steep incline for cavalry to get down. Like, all it takes is for one guy at the front to trip and fall, and it's just going to be a horrendous avalanche of horses.
Yeah.
But again, like, I guess, you know, some of the landscapes and stuff in this are so like heavily stylized. They're kind of exaggerated beyond any sort of real proportions, and I guess this is one aspect of it. Yeah, Drinker, have you finished Forbidden West? No, I think I'm pretty close though, because not to ruin the whole story or anything, but basically you've got to get a bunch of AIs, and they're scattered around the map, and they've each been implanted into like an underground bunker. And I've gotten 2 of them. I just need the 3rd one, and then I think that'll take me into the end game. I must admit, I'm quite liking it. The world map is pretty fun to explore. Plenty of side quests to keep you busy. So it's not been too bad so far. I've certainly sunk plenty of hours into it, so it's probably been worth the money, put it that way. What's the next one? Ged Billow says, Drinker, have you watched Underbelly? Brilliant show. I haven't watched Underbelly, I'm afraid. No, man. Sorry. Channel Surf says, being a Tolkien scholar, I'm disappointed that PJ left out most of the compelling female characters. The strumpet Gondor Rhea. Hopefully Amazon will remedy this. I know of no such character. Andrew Carroll says, Adam Sessler is the worm tongue of G4 TV. I just get the impression he's just sad. Like, I don't know if he's even like a corrupting influence. He's just like, I can't believe my life and career has come down to this. I once mattered. I once did something useful. But hey, like, he's perfected a new way of clapping, so while looking miserable. Full Metal Vash says, it's my birthday. Can I get a happy birthday from a true Irishman? You can get a toast from me, man. Happy birthday. Loads of people seem to be having their birthday that day. Ged Billows says, Gary Nerdrotic looks years younger. Texas boy now. Gary does seem to be aging in reverse. It's odd. I think the beard covers up a lot. Then again, he's got like clean living now as well. He hasn't been drinking for like 20 years, so that's probably helping. Yeah. Krusty Juggler says, listening to the power metal song The Magic of the Wizard's Dream by Rhapsody of Fire. Christopher Lee sings in it, and it's epic. I've heard this. Yeah, he's done a bit of metal and stuff. It's baffling, but yeah, I fucking love it.
I really like that band, and I happened to come across that, and I was like, is that fucking Christopher Lee? When I was listening to it, I was like, what the hell's he doing in here?
I suppose he's got a pretty distinctive voice, doesn't he?
Hell yeah.
No, that's cool, man. what's this one? 7R33's Fire said, "Hey, my buds, I just watched The Death of Stalin last night. Great film. Zhukov is the best." He fucking is. I would honestly watch an entire film of just Jason Isaacs, Zhukov, just insulting people and punching them. It's fucking incredible. Have you seen it, MauLer?
No, I don't think I've seen that.
It's really good. I very much, I recommend The Death of Stalin, because like all the actors are playing just their own accents, so you've got a mixture of like American and like regional British and stuff, and then you've just got Jason Isaacs coming in as General Zhukov, just insulting like the leader of the whole Soviet Union. He just like looks at him and he's like, "Fuck me, did Coco Chanel take a shit on your head?" His insults are fucking brilliant. But yeah, it's this good movie, man. Ged Billows says, Door Brandongen, real news, Friday Night Tights, fun, keep it up. Okay. Use Psychology says, once I'm done with Elden Ring, I'm diving into my new History of Middle-earth books. It's 12 volumes and 3 hardbacks. Can't wait. Loads of love to you and your families. The road goes ever on. Thanks for that, mate. And enjoy the books. Cardinal Sin said, Hail, Drinker, Nerdrotic, Az, and MauLer, my favorite takedown team. If the Amazon show screws up the Nazgul in addition to all the other garbage, then I'm out. I mean...
I don't think I get anything right is the question.
Yeah, I would say they're perhaps the least of your problems. CHS 1989 says they developed a software for the big battles where the AI was so good that during a simulated test battle, you see orcs and humans fleeing in the background. I heard this, yeah. Weta developed that software to give the combatants a degree of autonomy, and they could just like run the battles and let them do their own thing, which is, it's pretty crazy actually to think of. Yeah. I don't know, when it comes to CGI, things like that, I just assume everything's under complete control and you're literally just animating every frame of it. But I don't know. Guess not. But no, that's cool stuff. Germified says, the intro of Gandalf fighting the Balrog was freaking genius. My favorite movie intro ever. It still gives me chills, especially when the camera pans down and the music kicks in. Yeah, it's so freaking good. We talked about that, didn't we, the other night?
We did indeed.
I came down slightly against that.
You were cruel, mean, horrible, and just terrible.
You have to admit, I got a point, though.
I could, but I will choose not to.
I mean, I get the argument that it's kind of framed as being Frodo's dream or something, and then he wakes up and, then he has to continue with his adventure. But yeah, for me, when you introduce something like that to the audience, you're the way people's minds work, they're immediately going to interpret that as, oh, right, Gandalf clearly didn't die there then. He's going to be alive. We're going to see more of this guy. And yeah,
if we're all stitched as one big long movie, would you still say that?
I mean, it's hard for me to say anyway. I haven't read the books before. Like, I obviously knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I'd still, because it would depend how they re-edited it then. Because obviously each movie has got a definitive ending of sorts. So you would need to take some of that out to make it a more continuous narrative, I think. And then I don't know how that would affect things. Which I know is me just kind of sitting on the fence and not really giving you a definitive answer, but it's a really difficult question
to answer.
Like unless I knew how it was going to shake out, it would be a really difficult thing to know. Dream B said, I consider them one film, so it's my favorite. Well, there we go.
Fair enough.
No Guard says, the first time he called Smeagol is the first time he calls himself me rather than us. That's a good point, actually. I didn't notice that at the time.
I didn't notice that. That's interesting.
Sonny said, you should watch the Authentic Observer's video analyzing Gollum. It's a great video that explains why we both fear and empathize with him. So, yeah, I've seen some of her stuff, actually. I left a comment on one of her videos and she replied to it. So she produces pretty good stuff. I like it. I don't know if I've actually seen the Gollum one, though. Diaz de la Muertos said, Gary, tell MauLer about Blind Guardian's Nightfall in Middle-earth album. He'll dig it. Also, check out Christopher Lee's metal albums. Well, there you go. You've seen them already. Kenai24 said, MauLer, love you. Brutally insult me, you Welsh bastard.
I like how, as if, like, I don't know for brutal insults, but I often just describe people as a cabbage. Like,
yeah.
Could you?
I think Spam Sandwich was my favorite.
Ham Sandwich. Yeah, that was my one of my Game of Thrones ones. Very upset with Sam, right? I think he did something. I don't know. Oh, you remember Game of Thrones?
Yeah, that was a thing. I remember
Gary
that.
was asking me what I think is like the most damaged franchise. I think he picks Doctor Who, but I feel like it's got to be Game of Thrones, man. I don't know.
I think, yeah, we'd all go in different directions with this. I'd probably pick Star Trek, if I'm honest.
Well, funnily enough, my selection includes Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, probably Terminator and Predator to some degree. They've both been obliterated, their histories.
Yeah, it's been a slower decline, I guess, with those.
Yeah.
You know, with something like Star Wars, well, you can really pin it down to like pretty much when Disney bought them over.
Yeah.
With Doctor Who, well, I think we know which Doctor kind of flushed it down the shitter, and then, yeah, with Star Trek, it's like once Kurtzman and his terrible chums got a hold of it, it's like, well, that's pretty much writing on the wall. But yeah. Like Terminator just died a slow, sad death of just sequelitis, like running out of ideas.
Each of the sequels hate each other as well. They're all like, okay, that was bad, but this one's good. Okay, that one was bad. This one's good. Okay,
yeah.
Pretty sure the directors have said as much, and that was it Tim Miller who was like, oh no, I can't remember if he said it about Terminator. But he was just like, I missed the mark. I think
he did acknowledge that his film was shit.
Thank fuck. Like, we're lucky to get that ever.
Yeah. You know, some people do take a bit of accountability. Like, what was his name? I think it was Rick Berman who used to run Star Trek, like all the TV shows of Star Trek, and they did. Enterprise was basically the last TV show that he did in the Star Trek brand, and they kind of cancelled the show. Like, it wasn't doing great, but it was just starting to find its feet, and then there was like reshuffling going on, so they ditched it. And he kind of was responsible for the final episode, and it was really shit and disappointing. And it basically became a flashback episode for a different show altogether, like The Next Generation. And people fucking hated it because they were like, yeah, you're basically reducing the main characters to like background characters in their own show in the final episode. And yeah, he just came out with, like, in the years since, he was like, yeah, I totally fucked up there. Got it way wrong. I'm really sorry. Thought I had a good idea, but I totally didn't. And it's like, whoa, holy shit. Yeah. This guy's just completely acknowledging that he did something wrong and apologizing for it. That's just unknown now.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Next one. PerkTube1 says, seeing Gary disappointed with Game of Thrones not finished, has he or any of you read Anne McCaffrey's Dragon Riders of Pern? I mean, I've heard of it. I've never read it. I find it fascinating and engrossing, apparently.
No, I don't know what that is. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've heard of. Like, it's fairly big in like the fantasy genre, but I've never bothered reading it myself. Yes, it's. I watched Gary's most recent video about George and his non-update on Winds of Winter, and man, it's weird because I'm not even like big into the Game of Thrones books, but I'm kind of pissed off on his behalf. Just how much that guy's fucking people around.
It's unprecedented. This has never happened before, where a person has reached to that level of fame, and because it doesn't make sense, right? Like, the problem we usually get is that they rush it out, or that they do it and it's really disappointing. That's usually what happens. Not, yeah, I'm just not doing it. It's like, what?
I think, yeah, I mean, Gary kind of, I think, hit the nail on the head when he basically said that, like, George kind of toiled away for a lot of his career in relative obscurity, and then hit the big time relatively old. Like, he was in his early 60s, I think, when, you know, the TV show got commissioned, the books took off massively. And he's almost like making up for lost time. Like now he just wants to take on the big sexy gigs of being like producer on a TV show and, like all that stuff that just gets you loads of high profile attention in Hollywood. That's what he's doing now, rather than, locking himself away in an office for like a couple of years to just churn out a book that's going to take forever. And yeah, he just seems like one of those guys who can't fucking say no to anything. It's like, oh, we're going to commission like, half a dozen different TV shows, and we want you to do spin-off books and all this shit. And it's like, yeah, sure, I'll do this, just you can only do so much with your time. And I think particularly as you get older, like he's, I don't know, mid-70s or something, your time becomes more and more precious, I think.
I'm not even trying to be mean, but like he's very overweight, like, which,
yeah, like
the kind of weight he's at, I think we mostly, if we see like a, I don't know, 20, 30-year-old at that weight, we're like, well, they still have the time to sort of maybe sort that out. But when you hit late 40s or 50s, you're like, dude, you're on death's doorstep potentially, unfortunately, because that's a common age for a lot of people to die at that weight. But when you're at 70,
yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, you're in trouble.
I think, yeah, as well, like, I guess your overall like energy and focus and like your whole like mental acuity isn't really going to be improving in your 70s.
No,
I guess that's the point where you start to slow down, and like the prospect of doing these enormous, like abusively complex books just probably seems like too much.
Well, and that's kind of the thing, man. Like, I think everyone just wants him to be comfortable with admitting he's just lost interest in doing it, and then we can sort it out, because we can just be like, you need to give it to someone who is.
Yeah, get a ghostwriter in.
And you can choose the person, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, supply them with all your notes, give them the outline, let them do it. You can edit it and stuff, and yeah, at least that's something. And you can sort of at least say, well, the book that ultimately gets produced, okay, he didn't write every line of it, but ultimately it was done with his supervision and his blessing, so it's still his book.
Yeah.
And get this sort of canonical ending to it. Chris2401 says, Theoden mourning for his son always gets to me. That is a good scene.
And it's an excellent intro to Theoden. They give you so much information about him so quickly. It's like he's catching up because he wasn't in the first film. It's like, I'm going to be kind of a main character too. Here I am. Here's all my feelings on everything that's happened.
Yeah. Well, imagine like coming to that realization, your son died in this battle that you weren't even aware of because you were completely out of it. And it's like, yeah, you might have prevented that if you'd been more aware of what was happening, and you could have.
That's why, by the way, I think they had him realize his son was dead after Grima leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Which, is that right? Because I was about to, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, because like Grima leaves, and then it's like he sort of comes to his senses, and then he starts like, okay, I better get caught up on what's happening, and it's like, yeah, where's my son?
I think if he knew his son had died as a result of him being screwed over by Saruman and Grima, I think it would almost be nonsensical for him to let Grima go.
Yeah, you would act on impulse then, and I don't think you would have Aragorn stand in your way even then.
No, and that's an interesting dynamic that happens between those two. You can tell they're butting heads a bit on, it's like, you're not the leader, I am. It's like, I appreciate your fucking passion, but get out of here.
Yeah. No, he's I was trying to remember the actor's name. It's Bernard something, isn't it? That plays Theoden.
I knew him as the captain on the Titanic.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, now he's Theoden forever.
Yeah. No, he's really good though. Like, to play opposite Ian McKellen, like, man, that's pretty big challenge. Right, next one. Eric Bunce said, hey guys, first super chat here. For a first time watch of Lord of the Rings, should I watch the extended editions or the theatrical ones first?
Extended. Go.
Yeah. I don't think there was any doubt in your mind there.
Nope.
JS Pena said Andy Serkis should have been Penguin instead of Alfred, I guess. Yeah, I think he was a bad casting choice for Alfred. He's too young. Too young to play that character.
Well, I mean, if it's a younger Alfred, right? Because this is still really early Batman. Like, Batman in his prime, Andy Serkis will theoretically be like Michael Go's age, or Goff's. I can't remember how you pronounce it.
What is he now? Like mid-50s?
Yeah, and so if you add 30 years onto Batman, because he's in his late 20s canonically, is that where he's at?
I think roughly, yeah. Yeah, it would be.
This is the thing. I'm not gonna pretend like I know Batman's whole history and stuff. I'm just sad that they didn't give him more to actually do. That's all.
Yeah. Jean-René Carvalho says, "What's your opinions on the elves in Helm's Deep?"
We went over that, didn't we?
So I kind of talked about this in the stream. As I mentioned back then, it's not in the books. Like it's really just the soldiers of Rohan who do all the fighting there. I get why they brought them in, just to remind us that the elves are actually capable of doing stuff instead of just like wandering around in a trance. But yeah, it just took away from Rohan a little bit, and it made them seem a little bit unprepared and kind of dumb and a bit ineffectual.
My criticism is just that they didn't get implemented properly into the story. They felt like they were this weird. They're like DLC. They just sort of show up and then they're gone, and that's it. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, they've like pretty much they die to the last man, don't they?
I don't even know, man. I don't even know. I assume they do. Yeah, I assume all of them died. Which, man, that's crazy.
None of them are in the keep when the riders like make their final charge. Not that I can see anyway. It all seems to be just Rohan guys.
Yeah, no, I think you're right.
Which yeah is a bit.
Maybe we're supposed to believe some people went into the caves or something. I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. Brown Gaijin says, "Guys, check out YouTuber Living Anachronism. I think he looks very passionate about Lord of the Rings and could be a good invite for a stream." Okay. Living Anachronism. Not too familiar. Have you seen them?
No, I don't know that name.
Right, I'll check that out later, I think, rather than do it now. Yeah, Mojo Silver says, "It makes sense for Aragorn to let him go so he could tell Sauron to draw more forces out of Mordor, clearing the way for Frodo."
I don't think that's what was happening. And to be fair, Aragorn thinks... Is Aragorn one of the people that thinks Helm's Deep is a mistake? I know a couple of people do. Yeah, like,
I know Legolas thinks so.
Yeah, like the idea here is that they are terrified for the lives of the people of Rohan. They think that this is all a disaster. The idea that Aragorn's like, yay, more Uruk-hai. It's like, I don't think so.
Yeah, and like Sauron isn't going to get involved in this one anyway. Like Wormtongue's going to go back to Isengard and report back to Saruman.
Yeah, Aragorn should probably know that Grima is a puppet of Saruman, not Mordor, sort of thing. Besides, yeah, as if he's going to fucking go all the way to Mordor. Like on horseback. I don't think that's going to happen.
Ryan said, "The Boromir scene, especially that last interaction between him and Aragorn, breaks my heart every time." It's a very good scene. Very well done.
Top tier to me. I love it.
Tony Vanucci says, "And Jared Leto. This is why I love MauLer."
Yeah, got to appreciate all the performances, okay?
Bass Player says, "The difference between the Uruk-hai and the Orcs was handled so much better in the books. There had been tension building between the two factions for days until it finally boiled over between the two." Yeah, I mean, you get that in the movie. Like, it's explained that they've been on the march for several days with
really
barely any rest, and yeah, they're just pissed off and tired, and inevitably they're going to come to blows.
And I think you get a sense that it's not just about the fact that they're orcs and Uruk-hai, it's that they're from Mordor and from Isengard, and they serve different masters technically. I actually really like that.
Yeah, but does Sauron not also have Uruk-hai?
That's a good question. If you look at the Mordor forces, I'm not sure if there are any Uruk-hai there. I think they might all be orcs. I'm not sure, outside of like assorted creatures like trolls and maybe goblins and stuff.
I mean, I say that because, like, well, particularly in the final battle at the Black Gate, like, they look pretty big, and they've got similar armor patterns and stuff to what the Uruk-hai are wearing. I don't know if it was just like, yeah, we're going to reuse these masks and extras and stuff or what, but
I thought that the Uruk-hai were like Saruman's sort of creation, kind of. Not necessarily that he created them originally, just that he was making them at Isengard.
Yeah, I think from what I remember in the books, I think they were unique to Isengard because, like you say, they were kind of Saruman's idea or his creation. But I don't know if they went that same route in the movies. But yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. So getting mixed things from the chat. So Sauron 100% had Uruks. They predate Saruman's forces. Another person said that, yeah, the Uruks were Saruman's deal.
Well, chat, you figure it out.
The duality of man right here. Yeah, what was I going to say? Yeah, it's never really made clear in the books either, but like in the movie, it's weird because the orcs just seem to be grown in mud. Like it's weird when they're hatched, they're in these like egg sack things, and they just kind of dig them out of the ground, and there they are. They're like
right?
ready to
Not
go.
the orcs.
Yeah, Uruk-hai. Sorry.
Yeah, they are. That is, yes, weird.
I don't think you're meant to think about it too much, I guess. Chris Estrada says, to this day, I get choked up when Aragorn turns to the last army and says two simple words for Frodo. Yeah. That's cool because that scene is where he looks directly at the eye of Sauron and he's getting like tempted by it. So that's pretty cool. Chris Nicholson says, there and back again, a collectible figures story. Yeah, man, if they're producing good quality figures of like Lord of the Rings, I'd be down for that. Juan Aranda Alvarez says, you need to come to Ensenada, Mexico. Cabrones. I'll pass that on. Vico420 says, the stuntman really threw that knife at Aragorn by mistake and Viggo deflected it and Jackson kept that scene. I really hope that's true. I love that.
It's true as far as I know.
Is it?
I'm assuming the sound effects aren't the original ones because it sounds great, but apparently, yeah, that was a real knife deflection.
Cool. Fucking Viggo Mortensen, man. He's just badass.
Yep.
Dr. Martin Luther Pepe says the battle for Helm's Deep was celestially epic. It was. It's the best description I've ever heard of it. Double Back Again says, forgive the ignorant question. Is the horse that finds Aragorn in the river Theoden's son's horse, the one he let loose?
Yeah, Brago.
Is it?
Yeah, that's the idea, is that Aragorn says, let Brago go, he's seen too many wars, I think. Right. And then that horse then ends up finding him at the river, I guess, because it kind of liked Aragorn.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Use psychology.
Lucky. Yeah, very lucky. Use Psychology says Viggo had a broken toe, Orlando Bloom had a cracked rib, Brett Beatty, the Gimli stunt double, had a messed up knee, and then they did the running through Rohan helicopter shots while injured. Legends.
Yeah, man.
That is pretty good. Yeah. Random Eskimo says, since Gary blasphemed Boromir's death, I'll add my own. A Nazgul appears, overpowers Frodo at the boat. Boromir crawls back just in time to kill it, saving Frodo and sending he and Sam on their way, truly regaining his honor. I mean, that would be a pretty fucking extreme way to end it. Like,
wait, did Gary blaspheme Boromir's death? I don't remember.
I don't remember him saying anything against it. Not off the top of my head. Yeah, I would need to go back and rewatch it. I'll see if chat knows anything about this. Did Gary impugn the honor of Boromir's death in the movie? Help us out, guys. Nothing yet. No.
No.
Who cares? It's made up. That's fine. No, that's fine. No,
all right.
Nothing much. That's fair enough. DB Dusel said, you guys think there aren't any shows where creators respect the source material, but there is a diamond in the rough that is His Dark Materials. Great story and pacing, where the writers to the costume designers respect it. I'd have to take your word for that because I've never seen His Dark Materials.
I don't think any of us would go as far as saying there is no show that respects its source material. It's just that we've got very little to show for it these days, ratio-wise,
Mm.
That's all.
Dumars says, watch the entire extended edition trilogy last weekend. We'll start reading Fall of Gondolin next. Hail Tolkien, screw Amazon. Good saying right there. And yeah, man, watching the whole extended trilogy in a weekend, that's pretty fucking good. No Garde says, Elrond knows what it's like to be the elf who lost a man. His brother Elros chose to be mortal as a man, while he chose to be immortal as an elf. He's saying things he knows. I was never clear on this. Like, if you're an elf, can you just opt out of immortality? I never really understood how they do it.
It's a little vague in the film as to like Arwen's fate exactly. It's like, is it because she's tied to the ring? It's like, you saying that metaphorically or literally? Like, is if the ring persists, then she is depowered, or are you saying that if the ring doesn't get destroyed, Sauron probably gets it, and then the will gets destroyed, and thus Arwen gets destroyed? It's like,
yeah, I assume that's what he's meaning. Like the situation is hopeless. The only option is to flee.
It just because he said it's a line where he's like, Arwen's fate is now tied to the One Ring or something like that, and I'm just like, are you just being flowery, or you don't mean literally, right? Like through some magic spell or some shit? Like,
yeah. No, that's a good point, actually. Like you say, it's kind of not really explicitly explained. JD said, Lord of the Rings is fundamentally a story of decline, i.e. the height of the demigod Noldor and superhuman Númenóreans to Arnor and Gondor with a semblance of old Númenor to the TA Aragorn is a shadow of past glory. Yeah, that's exactly what they describe. Like each sort of generation of men declines a little bit. They don't live as long. They're not as proud and strong.
They ended up being us. That's where we ended up.
Yeah, it's fucking dregs of humanity that we
Useless.
are. Yeah. What can we do? Sit fucking hunched over a keyboard all day. Feel more like Gollum every day. But no, this is what I touched upon when we discussed this like a few days ago. It's like, I like that fact that, we're not so the characters in this, they're not the great heroes of old. They're not the kind of people that should be able to do these great deeds, and yet this is what they're stuck with. They have to take on this last great challenge, like the greatest threat to Middle Earth there's ever been, and the fate of it is in the hands of people who aren't really up to the task, but they rise to the occasion. I think there's something really nice about that.
Very inspiring, yeah.
Gennaro Cyans said, how do orcs reproduce? And I was just asking that. Apparently they seem to just grow in mud. Like, or they spawn or something.
Yeah, orcs. I can't remember which one's the twisted elves or something. Is that orcs or Uruk-hai? I can't remember.
That's orcs. So that's like Saruman said that's how they were created originally. They were made by Sauron by taking elves and
torturing
them and yeah, like torturing them and stuff. And that's what you end up with. But yeah, I don't know how they then produce beyond that. It's a bit of a weird one. It's never described in the books, as far as I know.
And not really something we were looking for an answer for.
I want to see sexy female orcs.
Oh no!
I feel like they deserve representation.
Very well. Let's do it.
Steve Roberts says, as Karen from the blockbuster film Karen, smash or pass? Well, I don't know what Az would say about this, but let me have a look and see what she's like. Oh, right. Okay. She looks all right. I'm not going to lie. The main character. Let me see.
Have you seen
right.
Karen?
No. I think shit. No, I got how you get like a publicity shot of someone and they're looking at their absolute best, and then I went to Google Images and got other pictures of her. No, it's gone wrong. I feel like I'm looking at Frosk's ugly sister.
Oh no.
No. Right. Okay. Talking about female orcs. Let's move on. Right. Reaped Spartan says, I'm rereading The Fellowship of the Ring for the first time in like 18 years. I remember it being a much more difficult read back then. Yeah, I mean, I have no idea how old you were and at the time, but yeah, I imagine it does get easier. But as you get older, it's been a good many years since I've read them. I would like to go back and reread these books actually, because man, I'm not a good read in ages. Primarch Vulcan says, in Return of the King, Merry is seen leaving Rohan riding on his own horse, but later Theoden tells him none of his riders can bear him as a burden. Does the book explain what happened to Merry's horse?
I don't know.
Yeah, so the books, yeah, he doesn't have a horse at all to ride, and it's Eowyn pretending to be a man that offers to let him ride double with her. And she introduces herself as like Dernhelm, I think is the character's name. And, you know, she's got the helmet on and stuff, so you can't see her properly. And I think he even doesn't recognize who she is initially. So yeah, that's what happens in the books. The Justice 35 says, fun fact, Galadriel in the movies has lights in her eyes because she's the last elf in Middle-earth to have seen the lights of the two trees, because she's the last of the Noldor elves in Middle-earth. Fuck me, I did not know that. We're getting into some deep lore now. It's like I have not read the Silmarillion enough to know this stuff.
No.
Darius said, I think Dave Mustaine did a fine job as Faramir. Yeah, that was fine. I think it's really funny that he went from this to fucking
Van Helsing?
Van Helsing, yeah, playing like the dorkiest monk that's ever lived.
I think that was a pretty high budget movie, and it was pretty mainstream, right? You know, his agent was probably like, "Hey, man, this will be the new big thing." I'm sure of it.
I think he took the role intentionally, like to play against type, because obviously he's playing Faramir, this really heroic character, and he's like, I want to go completely the opposite direction for my next big role. Do something,
sure, yeah,
you know, like just a bookworm like this character, and that's what he got. And yeah, he played both roles pretty well, I guess.
I think so.
I haven't seen him in anything in fucking years. It's like he was just a guy for the early 2000s, and then he just kind of vanished.
Yeah, because he was in 300 as well.
Yeah, he lost an eye, didn't he, in that?
He did.
Yeah. Jar of Mayo said, unpopular opinion, but Lord of the Rings would have been better with Sylvester Stallone as Samwise and Arnold Schwarzenegger as Frodo. Fucking guaranteed it would have been.
Yeah, not even close. That would have been. It would have made it basically the greatest movies of all time, the greatest media of all time.
I would have liked to have seen Chuck Norris as Aragorn and probably Steven Seagal as Merry. Maybe Jean-Claude Van Damme as Pippin.
Jackie Chan as Gandalf. Get those stunts going, man.
Could you imagine just these fucking 80s action heroes just like fighting their way into Mordor, like no stealth or anything, just like fucking kill everything that you see in front of you. Do it, make it happen.
Cowards, do it.
Do it. Felwyn says, on immortality, I like how elves and humans are treated in Tinker by Wen Spencer. This quote is especially relevant. When one was immortal, apparently one had time to waste on other people's little details of life. I guess so. Like if you've got unlimited time, maybe you could be really interested in people. I kind of took the opposite tack. I assumed that, you know, eventually you would have seen so much and experienced basically everything there was to see and do. You'd just get tired with everything. You would just have no enthusiasm left. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. I'm not an immortal elf, so I don't know.
Yeah, it's one of your flaws.
JD said George R.R. Martin will troll us by dying at the wrong time. I mean, is there a good time to die, really?
It's crazy that if he was to like die today, like a lot of like I think, you know, Gary would appreciate the work he's done, but man, would it be frustrating not to just be like, fuck you. Like just to some degree. Fuck you for dying. Like,
fuck you. You selfish bastard. Yeah. Jacob Stewart says, loves your work, Drinker. For everyone, thoughts on practical effects? Do you think fancy film tech leads to a lazier director's eye as a result? Oh, how we've discussed this before.
We have indeed.
Yeah, there's if you go to my second channel, there's like a bit that I pulled out that I thought was particularly relevant, where we all gave our thoughts on CGI versus practical effects. I will say, MauLer, having spoken to you and you give examples like the Balrog, it's helped me to come around to CGI and
Ah.
appreciate like when it's done well and when it's nicely integrated into the film and it doesn't rely on them too much. It absolutely has its place, and it definitely, it is awesome when it's done properly. I think where it goes wrong, I guess, is that they try to do it on the cheap, or they try to use it too much, and they don't give the special effects guys enough time to work with it, and then you get kind of shitty looking effects. And it's just I guess it's the nature of the beast, really, isn't it?
Yeah. I've seen a lot of posts recently on Twitter about No Way Home's use of CGI. And they have examples where, like, when he goes to see Doctor Strange, the only thing that's real in the shot of him arriving at the place is the door. Everything else is fake. And the thing for me is, like, a lot of people are, like, laughing at it, like, oh my god, they couldn't fucking film a street. And I'm like, to be fair, I have no fucking clue what their restrictions may or may not have been, especially because they were filming in pandemic times, right? So whatever laws they got to deal with. But I didn't notice. And so I wonder if, like, does that just mean that CGI was pretty? Because I think landscape CGI is usually better than moving animated object CGI. Naturally, because it's just harder to do the animation stuff. So if I don't know why they did it, like, for example, if a director was like, we could film on the street, but I would prefer to film in my green screen lab so that all the other people can sort this out later, I'd be like, yeah, that's lazy. But if it was a matter of, I don't know, we had the set for Camotage's opening door, or Sanctum Sanctorum, I forget what the place is, and we don't have access to it until 2 months from now, and we need to film this scene now, we can fake like a part of it, and the rest can come in through special effects later, and as long as the CGI artists nail the look, I don't know that I take that much of an issue with that.
Well, like you say, like, if you can get through that scene and not even notice it, really, I guess they've done their job right. The only question then I would have is, like, does it take something away from the actors when, essentially they are just performing against a green screen and there's not really,
I think it'll make performing harder for sure. I don't see how it wouldn't, because the immersion factor, right? If you're in this beautiful set that was handcrafted to come across as the thing that you're in, I think your mind is much easily gonna get into it. But if it's all green, be like, well, my imagination's gonna have to sort this one out.
Yeah. I think I'm always shocked, like, especially in the Marvel movies, just how much CGI they use.
Yeah.
Even like you say, like, even when it's simple things like rooms and things that you should be able to just build in a set, like, it shouldn't be that hard. Like, they just CGI'd it, and it's like, fucking hell, like, did you really need to? Was it really that hard to shoot something like that? But I mean, I guess they wouldn't do it just to waste money. There must be some kind of practical benefit to doing it.
Yeah,
But
I've tried to be a little bit, dare I say, better faith about it, because I definitely don't know why they do a lot of these things, and so I maybe shouldn't pretend there's absolutely no good reason for it. Maybe there is. And one of them, when Flash Thompson is in, like, I don't know, whatever university, when Peter calls him in the movie, they're like, that was fake. He was on a green screen. The thing behind him wasn't real. And loads of people are like ripping into it, saying how stupid that is. You can get a room, you can get people, like, what the fuck? And then someone else was like, oh, well, he wasn't able to film on that set that they had. They filmed the set, and then they couldn't get him in because it's I think pandemic stuff. And so they filmed him separately, and then they composited him on. Is that okay? And people were like, eh. And I'm just sitting here like, I don't know, that seems okay. Like, what?
Yeah, like you say, if there was a restriction around the pandemic, or it was just the actor had availability problems or whatever, it's like, okay, fine, you got to do what you got to do to make the shot happen in the time frame you need it.
I think the
Fine,
more
I
important
guess.
part is, did you notice? And I'm being honest here, I did not notice that shot was CGI.
Yeah. And, we can apply it to Lord of the Rings as well. Like I mentioned the other day, there's a lot of shots of Gollum which don't look great. And I can totally forgive it because it was 20 years ago and, like, the technology wasn't as advanced as it is today. But yeah, there's scenes where he's like climbing up embankments, like with stones and stuff under him, and you can see his feet don't like mesh with the ground properly, and the shadows are kind of wrong, and the light doesn't fall on him properly. That's just all stuff that would happen with early 2000s CGI. But, like, for what it was at the time, it was the only practical way they could have filmed a creature like Gollum. You're not going to get an actor who looked like that, and you couldn't do it with prosthetics. So, like, it's fine.
I think it's when you get a shot of the Balrog walking after Gandalf. It's like 2 seconds, and I remember being like, "That's probably the worst shot of the Balrog." The rest of it looks fantastic. That one's just a little bit. I don't know.
Well, I should ask you a question then. So imagine they got the chance to do like, I don't know, like what George Lucas did with the Star Wars OT. You know, like a revamped cut or something, where they tidy up some of these slightly dodgy CGI shots. Would you want to see that, or would you rather just leave it alone?
So if we can trust these people who are doing it, so for example, right, they were going to remaster Buffy, and Buffy's special effects are pretty bad, all the CGI ones. This is a great opportunity to be able to redo them. You can just redo them. Like, you can redo all of them. They can look way better. They skimped on the first season, where they just tried to recreate some, and then they gave up by season 2, I think, and they just didn't do it anymore, and they just upscaled the old ones. They look even garbager now. So if it's being handled by someone who just doesn't give a shit about any of it, then yeah, probably not. But I mean, you know, if it was handled by an incredibly passionate team that really want to just improve the fidelity and up the effects to match the resolution, I'm totally cool with that version existing. You can even give them a name, right? Like something that separates them from the extended editions. They are the I'm not calling them ultimate or definitive. Maybe just
be like the 2022 remastered edition or something
like that. Yeah. Because I think in a perfect world, we could all be very excited to see a well-crafted 2022 high-budget Balrog bit of CGI that's made with the same intentions for atmosphere as the originals, overseen by Peter Jackson. Like, if all of that were true, yeah, that could be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think I would let them have a crack at that for, say, like the example I gave was the Gollum bits. You know, shot for shot remake. It's just you've improved the CGI, so it just meshes a little bit better with the backgrounds, and looks just that little bit more realistic.
Yeah, because they'll have access to all the raw stuff, like all of basically Andy Serkis's work. It'll just be there, and you could redo Gollum entirely. Not that I would say you should, but I mean, you know, if it was the same passion, same quality levels, yeah, I don't know, be cool as a version, I think.
Because yeah, we talked about this once. You know, say it was like the Starbucks coffee cup that you see in the set of Game of Thrones. You know, you can digitally remove that. And you know, it makes sense, I guess, to do something like that because it's an obvious goof. But then, where does that end? You know, can you just keep going through things and touching them up and you know, polishing up this bit, changing that bit, taking things out, putting things in?
My
It's
fear
like,
is that they'll go really far and then start changing shit like can't have her ass being shown too much, but a CGI address on it, and you're like, okay, no, stop. And so I think in my perfect world, the originals are always available no matter what. Even for that Game of Thrones episode with the fucking coffee cup, they're like, this is the original streaming, and this is the updated version. You may choose whichever one you want, sort of thing. But that's never going to happen. They will always make it so that the original's gone, and they hope you forget it.
Yeah, that was. I take it you saw the little scene from Splash with Daryl Hannah when she was like running away into the water, and like they've really awkwardly like extended her hair to try and cover her ass cheeks. It's like, so shit.
Hashtag free the ass cheeks. Okay, it's important.
I know, it's like, what's even so fucking offensive about an arse? Like, just on screen for a couple of seconds.
I think most people go as far as saying it's the opposite of offensive.
Yeah, it's very pleasant to look at. Daryl Hannah was in great shape. Norman Dixon says, the original series has a couple of really great episodes about immortal characters. I guess this is going to be Star Trek. Who Mourns for Adonis and Requiem for Methuselah. Both Apollo and Flint really sell the idea that immortality comes with a heavy cost. Yeah, I think I remember the Who Mourns for Adonis one. Yeah, very much playing on that idea of losing people and basically running out of things to keep your interest and to get passionate about anymore. Sterling Sapien says, Faramir is my favorite character. He's a wildcard badass like his bro, just more rational. Tolkien based a lot of his own traits on the character. Nice. Yeah, it's funny because in the books, like, they don't go to Osgiliath and they don't have that encounter with the Nazgul or anything. I think Faramir just basically lets him go. He realizes, like, yeah, the ring's really dangerous, and Frodo, I think, convinces him that like he should just let him go on his mission. So
Yeah, I
that's
think
all that comes of that.
because he witnesses the Frodo almost handing the ring to a Nazgul, right, and Sam tackling him. Does he see that? I can't remember. He sees something,
Yeah, he does.
and it changes his mind.
Yep.
Because Faramir is a good boy. He's just poor guy. Just wants to fucking show his quality.
Just wants his dad to like him. He just wants his dad's approval. And his dad's a total dick, both in the books and in the movie, actually.
Yeah.
Ponderous Painter says, Drinker and MauLer, you'd both still be living in loincloths and eating berries if it weren't for the English. What makes you think I don't?
I was going to say, that sounds like a better life, you know? Sounds like a simpler life.
Yeah, damn. Desert Fox says, or that there is still slavery. The US may have had slavery. US is one of the youngest, but we were one of the first to get rid of it. All right. I think the British were way ahead of you on that one, though.
Yep.
Luke Sylvie Clare says, you'll steal back the stone of Scoon from those limeys one day, Drinker. Yeah, the Stone of Destiny. Hasn't it been returned now? I thought we had it back in Scotland now. It's back at Scoon Palace. And it's really, I'm sure I've seen it, and it's the most disappointing thing. It's just a big lump of sandstone. It's like, why is this so important? It's weird how people can assign meaning to something so like mundane. Mitch Balischuk says, have any of you ever read any of the heroic fantasy epics from David Gemmell? Still my favorite fantasy author. I'm sad he's not well known, but happy his work hasn't been tarnished by a bastardized screen adaptation. I'm not familiar with his work, man. I'm sorry. Reedwald says, Normans were Norse, not French. I thought they were French. Yeah, the Norman conquest of England. Because there was the Anglo-Saxons were the rulers of Britain up until the Norman conquest, weren't they?
I would have to check my history.
But then with this, the Anglo-Saxons not descended from Viking settlers. Oh, fuck it, I don't know. Just clutching at straws here. Cameron Turk says, hey, Drinker, hope you're well. Let Heels versus Babyface know. Nice cat from me. His look is very much like my tabby cat, Khan. Haha. Khan! I will let him know. Thanks, mate. Arthur Wellesley says, the look on everyone's face when the Uruk bomb goes off is a moment. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Like, you know that scene where Legolas is trying to take him down with the bow, and he just cannot fucking kill this guy. I've been in so many fucking Modern Warfare games like that. Just like one guy you absolutely are desperate to take out, and you cannot fucking hit him.
I find that a little bit funny in the how do you like headshot him and he just falls down and all the characters are like, yeah, then some other Uruk-hai just picks up the fire and throws it in.
Yeah, like someone was going to get it done, weren't they?
Yeah.
Lyle Hamak says the dead marshes with the dead bodies in the water was inspired by the trenches of World War I, which Tolkien served in. Yes, that is 100% true, and I remember reading that. Yeah, because damn, like you get shell holes that fill up with water, people fall in and die, and that's it. You've just got bodies floating there. Pretty grim stuff. Yeah, and because the front lines didn't move that much in World War I, you would end up fighting over battlefields that had been fought over for the past couple of years, and you know, bodies get buried, then they get churned up by the shell fire. It's pretty awful stuff to fight in. Deeds MN says, I would like to pay a monthly fee, or sorry, I'd pay a monthly fee to see you four guys talk about media that you love or hate every month. Really enjoy you all separately, but love your joint discussions. Thank you. Yeah, it was great to have all you guys on. I think
you typically find that we do like every month. So you probably got at least one stream with a lot of us crossover. Typically.
Yeah. I mean, you do like Real BBC with Az and Gary, so that's like three of us anyway. And sometimes I drop in from it. Yeah, open bar. Yeah.
So I get to hang out with all of them in different ways.
Yeah. Raphael Blade says, boy, am I glad that fans are coming together as one against this diversity outrage. Much love from this Portuguese black dude. Thanks, man. Yeah, well, we'll see what comes of Rings of Power, I guess. Can't say I've got huge expectations for it. Lyle Hamak said, Faramir's thoughts about the dead Haradim soldier is a great speech about war, and whether the person you're fighting and killing is truly evil, because the Haradim we know served Sauron out of fear. Yeah, I mean, I know he formed alliances with them in the books, and he kind of did it by promising them, a big chunk of Gondor once the war for the ring was over. So I don't know if it was so much fear as mutual benefit, I guess. But yeah, they weren't necessarily evil people, because you don't know what the history is between them and Gondor, whether they've been fucked over by them or what. Matt Coins and Stuff said the Rings of Power is going to suck knob. It seems like it. Lyle Hamak says, hey MauLer, what happened to the Game of Thrones season 8, episode 6 rage video that you left everyone hanging with?
One day, I really, like, the 5th episode took so much time and effort to make that I was ready to talk about other things, and I felt like episode 5 of that season is the worst one in terms of just destroying everything. Capped off with Daenerys fucking executing women and children. I felt like that summed it up, but I do plan to come back and complete that little thing with an episode 6 coverage, and I will likely talk about the whole series, but not yet.
There's I think there's still a huge amount you can talk about with that final episode.
Oh yeah,
fucking Jon and Daenerys. I'll just never get over Bran being made fucking king of Westeros.
so stupid.
Fuck. That's just like, what have we got left? What can we do with Bran? I'll just make him king now. That'll do. It's like no thought gone into it. Leo Films says, do yourselves a favor and watch Ralph Bakshi's version, the most expensive animated film of the time, and Jackson's trilogy back-to-back, movie history. Nice. Okay.
Ralph Bakshi.
Bakshi. What did I say?
Bakashi.
Bakashi. I think it's the spelling there. But yeah. Is it good? I haven't seen it.
I saw it so long ago, I think, or I haven't seen it at all. I can't remember, so I can't say. But everyone has good things to say about it.
Okay. There you go. Do an Unbridled Rags video. Supercut of him freaking out. I'd like to see that, actually. Yeah. Marshall Seed says, the drums in the deep of Moria are supposed to be ancient creatures even Sauron doesn't know about. The Watcher could be one of them. Yeah, the Watcher's a weird one. Like, it never really explains where the fuck that thing comes from or what it even is. It's just like this giant squid thing.
And
I think it's the same in the books. Like, that lake that's there at the doors on the western side, like, that's not always been there. It's like it's gradually flooded over time, and then the Watcher has just kind of shown up and taken over that pool. So yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. Cody Griffin said, look, Lord of the Rings dwarves, Warhammer dwarves, the greatest race of all, obviously. And if you disagree, then you must be an elf.
Whoa.
GJJ says, just think how the Earth would have been if the comets wouldn't have hit the ice shelf and we lost all this history. Indeed. We'll never know what happened. Yo-Yo said, you say Sauron was a pussycat. Well, he was originally a cat named Telvido in the original draft of the Silmarillion. Pretty funny stuff. What the fuck?
Okay.
Yeah, just at times like that, I'm just like, yeah, sure. Finbar White says, hey, Critical Drinker, everyone, would you like to see Jackson return to Lord of the Rings? Also, what film better than Wild Geese or The Dirty Dozen? So, yeah, which do I prefer? Happy St. Patrick's Day. I'm going to say I prefer The Dirty Dozen, but Wild Geese is pretty fucking good. Great cast in both of them, actually. Would we like to see Jackson return? If he had come back to do Rings of Power, I would have had a bit more faith in it, I think.
Yeah.
Sonny said, I definitely prefer classic fantasy over grim, dark fantasy. I'm inclined to agree, actually. You know, it was all very cool and edgy and stuff for a while, and then it just starts to grate on you after a while. John Orchard says, heroes are never old-fashioned. We all need heroes, kind of like you guys making these streams and videos. Heroes give us hope. This new generation of filmmakers want to destroy hope. Hope keeps us going. Yeah, I mean, we're not quite like fucking ring bearers, like fighting our way into Mordor or anything, but hey, you know, We do our best.
Yeah.
Mr. Congressman says this should pay for a halfpenny's worth of Glen something for you, drinker. Cheers, mate. Nuclear Winter Gamer said, my brother and I have binged most of Reacher last night. We kept saying one more after an episode ended. So good. Yeah, I must admit, I've been enjoying it so far. I like them. I like the actor they've got to play Reacher. I think it was a good choice, good casting choice. Marshall Seed says, I really like Miss Marvel, to be honest, from the Avengers games, since she's so endearing and likable. Making it about race pisses me off. Yeah, they were so subtle about it in the trailer, though, MauLer. That's what I appreciated. You wouldn't even know what they're trying to say there. Yeah, that
Looking
was
forward to it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a show. Southeastern Kaiju said, any interesting Disney-related news today? Nope. Not that I know of. Finbar White says, basic storytelling leaves people feeling good. It should leave you feeling, I don't know, like you've been on a bit of an emotional journey.
Yeah.
You know, you should feel satisfied at the end of it. You've had ups, you've had downs. In the end, you just feel complete. That's a good story. Kaz Devlin said, Reacher verbatim of book Lee Child's executive produced. One complaint about Lord of the Rings was where the Lord of the Lash song from the animated movie. I don't know. Where was the Lord of the Lash song? I mean, there's a shit ton of songs in the books. I don't know how many of them actually made it in. I could probably have done without them, though. First American Doctor says, not sure if still live. Well, we are live again.
Yep.
Still in the immortality bit. Reminds me of a thing from another show. Immortality isn't living forever. Immortality is everyone else dying. True. That's one way to look at it. Sean DiStefano says, Avatar Last Airbender, guys. Do you want us to review the live action movie or the anime?
Oh boy, yeah, I hear the movie is fantastic.
It was
Night's
something special. See, I watched it not knowing much about Avatar, the concept or anything, and I was like, it's that guy who did those things. Those he's made lots of good movies. I'll give this a try. And
is that the moment his career was like considered a joke? I think it was that movie that did it.
I think that, and then it kind of a string of flops followed it up, because he was always just that one trick pony of like, oh, there's going to be a twist at the end, and it's like every movie he tried to up the twist factor, and you can only do it so many times before it just becomes like completely played out, and I guess that's where he got to. Yeah, I think the lady in the water didn't do him many favors either.
Yeah, because there's a movie critic character in the movie that's a horrible person and he gets horribly murdered.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, what was it like? He basically plays a guy who's like misunderstood and like unappreciated in his time, but he's destined to become like the greatest writer and one of the most influential humans that's ever lived.
It's incredibly embarrassing.
Yeah, it's like, come on, man, you got to have some kind of self-awareness. Danish cartoonist said Disney's 1985 movie The Black Cauldron featured a small furry creature named Gurgi, whose function and voice are very similar to Gollum's. Did not know that. Shakala King says, speaking of classics, I've been listening to the Sherlock Holmes collection on Audible, read by Stephen Fry, and it's been wonderful. Need more stories like this. I mean, Stephen Fry's just got one of those like nice hypnotic voices. I think he could narrate anything, really. Judo Cricket said, Deanna Troy learning what the chain of command actually meant was another great TNG episode. You'll never get that in Discovery or Picard. I think that's the one where she has to send Geordi to his death. Yeah, if I'm right. Like, Troy is like a ship's counselor, because it's like the 80s, so they have like a fucking therapist on the bridge. But she wants to become an officer, and you have to go through like, you know, obviously lots of tests and stuff. And one of them is in like the holodeck, where you're basically presented with a situation where the ship's going to blow up, and no matter how many different ways she tries to tackle it, she can't stop the ship from blowing up unless you know, they sacrifice a crewman to go in and stop whatever is going to go wrong with the engines. And it's her realizing eventually that, you have to be willing to sacrifice your own people for like the sake of the whole crew. It was kind of a slow process for her, but like that's what she means when she learns the chain of command. It's like, yeah, it's not an easy thing to be a commander. Sometimes you have to be willing to give up the lives of your own people. So it's quite a cool episode.
Sounds it, yeah.
Doomslaying Dempsey says, I can't wait for Palpatine to show up in the Kenobi show and be turned into a Trump supporter to embody the spirit of the patriarchy. Watch for an Imperial Trump rally. It'll happen, man, I tell you.
You can only hope.
Taker610 says, heel versus kitty face, kitty paw versus baby face. Yeah. Max Steele said, as when Chrissy asks you to be Amaranth, please say yes. Do it.
Hot tub streams, do it.
Yeah, get in your bikini. Hunter Biden's Crackpipe says, all the characters from the Kenobi trailer die. Later on, the black chick is from Jedi Fallen Order, so all the tension is stupid and unnecessary. Hail Friday Night Tights, EFAP, and Open Bar, and Papa Gundam is the funniest man alive. All true.
Totally. I mean, yeah, we're all going to be jumping on Kenobi, I imagine.
Oh, yeah. And I'm looking forward to giving it a glowing review, so
yeah,
it's going to be great. Finbar White said, would you have seen the Tarantino or Luc Besson direct a Star Wars or Star Trek film? Thank you for all a fantastic and thoughtful stream. Thank you. I don't really want to see Tarantino do Star Trek. I just can't understand how that would ever fucking work. Luc Besson, fucking hell, that would be an interesting experience. Yeah, like, why not throw him in there? Definitely, I'd like to see him do something with Star Wars. That could be interesting. Brett Flaherty says, he heard and saw no more. True indeed. RRTNZ says, hail Team UK and Gary. Which do you prefer, the Two Towers film or book? In my opinion, the book has better ending, but understand why Jackson rejigged events to suit Return of the King. Yep, so I think in the book, they get as far as like Shelob. So that bit is in Two Towers rather than Return of the King. But he kind of moved it, so it was a bit more. I think there was just too much going on at Helm's Deep to try and work that spider bit in as well, which I understand. I don't think I can really compare the book and the film though, because one's an interpretation of the other. I think the film did a great job, so I'm fine with it. Would I have liked to seen a version of the film that was exactly like the book? It'd be interesting, I suppose. Be about 10 hours long. Just another red shirt says we have a Scot, a Yorkshireman, a Welshman, and a Colonial. Nonetheless, on this day, I raise a Guinness to you, gentlemen. Thank you, my friend. I had a Guinness that night, and it was great. Stargate 404 said, as a fan of Gondor, design-wise, sad that the Knights of Dol Amroth weren't in it. I prefer Return of the King. If you prefer Rohan, I can understand preferring the Two Towers. The Gandalf scene with Theoden's exorcism still gives me chills. By the way, I'm in Ireland for the rugby game. Scotland or Ireland, what's your wager? I'm always going to bet on Scotland. But yeah, the scene with Gandalf and Theoden, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Couldn't really fault it. But yeah, a lot of like the build up to the battle in Return of the King is kind of skipped over for the movie, just for time wise, I guess. But yeah, there's kind of a lot that goes on there. Like you get more insight into what Gondor's like as a country. Antoine Dennison says, writers with political agendas are being circulated around Hollywood. That's why the good shows are being co-opted so quickly. Yeah, as far as I can see, that's exactly what's happening. Just You Roaming Around said, What We Do in the Shadows is probably one of the most enjoyable shows I've seen in a long time. What's your thoughts, guys?
I haven't seen it. I've only used clips I needed from it for Matt and Barry, but I've been interested in seeing it. At least I don't know if there's multiple shows, but that's the one I've seen clips of.
No, I've heard good things about it. I've not watched it myself. Gandalf the Grey says, Gary's setup, lighting, camera, and studio looks so good. Nice.
Yeah.
I'd be pleased to know that. Barry Scannell said, hi lads. Firstly, La Fela Padreg Shona. Oh, fuck, I can't say this one. La Fela Padreg Shona Diao. Secondly, did you ever see that German show on Netflix, Dark. I thought it was class. No, Dark is on my list of things to watch though, and I don't know
I got confused by it, so I gave up. There's
Right.
there's a lot to take in that show.
So it's a sci-fi thing.
Yeah, technically. I mean, there's loads of time travel in it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm intrigued at least.
Yeah.
I definitely want to give it a go. Like, give it a few episodes. If it's not working for me, jump out. Michael Gonzalez said, "Blood and souls for my Lord Arioch Gary." Indeed. Carrier, a Raccoon City story, said, "Hey all, just tuning in on my third glass of Shackleton Scotch and wanted to suggest a great film from Brazil, Elite Squad, about a special forces unit in Rio de Janeiro. Very brutal, inspired part of Max Payne 3's storyline." Well, cool. Odin's 99M says, "Cheers, mates. Cheers to you, man." And I Love Scotch gave me £5, so thanks, mate. And last of all was Matt Harrington said, "The hosts all us need the new book Woke Inc. It explains a lot of why corporations have gone woke and presents a possible solution." Okay. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know a bit more about the reasoning behind it, because man, it's fucking baffling right now. But yeah, that's the end of the super chats from the other night. So got to the end. Yay.
Round 2.
Okay. I'm just going to see what's been going on in chat as well, because I feel like I've neglected you guys a little bit. I was churning through those super chats there. What have we got? Yeah, Dark Season 1 was a real confuse fest. So yeah, lots of time travel.
There's like 3 eras, and they can move between them, and so trying to keep track of how this makes sense can get really difficult for a viewer. And it's all in, you know. I would never confidently claim it is like nonsense or anything, because I didn't understand enough to be able to make that claim. But loads of people love it, so.
Okay. Brian Terry, love your channel. Been subscribed for a while now. I would love to see you review Old Boy with Josh Brolin and Sam Jackson. It's bananas. Oh, no, not the Brolin version. There's an excellent Korean version out there. Just do that one. It's great.
Talking about respecting source work, you know.
I know. Just seeing what else we're best Western in your opinion. There's a few
for me.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty fucking good. I've got a real I've got a real soft spot for Pale Rider and High Plains Drifter. Both of them are pretty fucking good. And the Dollars trilogy. Do you like me a spaghetti western? Yeah, it's freebie chat. It's all good, Drinker. Yeah, it doesn't mean I just ignore you guys, though. Jesus, it's a bit shit for you if you're just getting totally like dinged by me.
I keep an eye on them.
Yeah, nice one. Yeah, there was one there about All of Us Are Dead. Did you get around to watching that at all?
No, I still want to. You finished it now, or?
I have, yeah. Finished it and reviewed it. Yeah, I liked it. I really liked it. It's not quite up there with Squid Game, but it's definitely a really enjoyable show. Really good characters, good acting. Yeah, some of the set pieces are just brilliant. Like, you can tell the amount of work that had to go into this. Anyway, right. Give me a second just to reload these. I shall go through tonight's super chat. Alrighty. So first one here was RRTNZ said, "Hail Drunkler, heard you talk about Cap. I too found him dull at first, but Chris Evans' performance and the Russo's writing turned him around into my favorite MCU character. Not complex but compelling. How about a stream on the Cap films?" That'd be an interesting one actually, because Cap grew on me. He really did.
Yes, and there's a stream of the Cap films. It's so funny. My relationship with those films is so complicated, because they've got the first of the trilogy is a film that I think is kind of neat and does a good job of introducing us to Cap. It's just there's world building issues I'm not a huge fan of. Winter Soldier, I have the most controversial opinion on in history. That's
Yeah,
something
you guys
chat
think
may
it's a
know.
bit shit, didn't you?
I think it's very shit, unfortunately. And then Civil War is my favorite superhero movie. So
Okay.
yeah, how's that for a combo?
Yeah, I mean, you've gone on the emotional roller coaster with Cap.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as a character though, kind of stepping back from the films a little bit and just looking at him and his development and stuff. Like, I think it's, I think he's got a great arc. You know, the guy who just wants to sign up and fight for his
Yeah.
country and be a soldier, be like a cog in the machine, gradually becoming more individualistic and but still retaining that heroic outlook on life and just like having that optimism and that kind of old fashioned heroism. I think all of those things combined together to make a really interesting character.
I'm not a fan of how they ended his arc in Endgame.
No, that's it was a bit of an odd choice there, and it kind of undermines, like, I guess, the loss that he's had to endure. It's like, oh yeah, we just undone all that. It's like he can go and live a happy life with Peggy. But yeah, generally speaking, as in terms of his arc throughout the whole series, I liked it, and I liked him. I liked Evan's portrayal of him. So
Yeah, I think for me it was like introducing him. I was just like, okay, that's fine. He's like Mr. Good Man. That's like his whole thing. But then once he was tested pretty hardcore with a lot of things happening in his life that are pretty tough to deal with, and his principles like pushed to the extreme, and he holds fast. It's like, okay, I actually like this guy quite a bit.
yeah, I love some of the scenes between him and Tony in Civil War. Like,
Oh yeah,
when because like it's almost a rarity in a film nowadays where you've got two guys who are actually having a fairly mature discussion, putting forward their points of view, and they're both kind of right. Like, they're
I
just
think
born
so.
from different experiences, and it's like, oh great, this is like the core of great writing, where you've got two
Well,
people exploring different ideas.
it's this wonderful use of how a single event from different points of views can be so entirely different. Like to Tony, preventing Wanda from leaving the compound is to protect her from other people who are going to be angry at her, and to make sure she's not going to get into any extra trouble via any particular thing, be it a fight she gets into or defending herself. It's all chill and nice. To Cap, you've imprisoned her.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, that's not how we deal with our problems. That's fucked up. And he's just like, no, 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 no. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. He's like, it's not fine. I'm not signing
It's when
this shit.
he was right on the brink of signing the
Yeah.
Accords as well. Like, he almost had him. That's what I love.
Yeah, because Tony, I love the dialogue in that scene. He's like, Tony, we'll reinstate Wanda as like a point of reference for how this is a good thing. And then Cap's like, Wanda, what are we talking about? Like, what happened to Wanda? And then he's like, she's at the compound. She's fine. She's fine. And then he's like, why? What? No. What's going on there? It's just because Cap wants the fact, like, because Cap knows her, right? Like, she fucked up. She exploded a bunch of people to save a bunch of people. It was a very trolley problem situation. And Cap, as far as he's concerned, the Avengers are the ones that sort themselves out. They don't like have the governments of the world decide what their fate will be as a result, which is a controversial perspective to have. And I think that if they were real, we would have spent many hours on streams talking about how they're above the law, and that's fucked up.
I would probably side with Tony on this one. It's like, you can't just like insert yourself into foreign countries and conflicts and stuff and just like go in guns blazing and do whatever you want. Like, you don't really have that right.
Yeah,
You need some
and
kind
at
of
the same
oversight.
time, Cap, as far as he's concerned, the power of the Avengers shouldn't go to any government, which is a good point. So where do we, and that's Civil War. I like the movie. It's flawed, but I like it.
Kelly Johnson asks, will MauLer ever find McQueen?
Hope not.
We'll never know.
if it's that queen.
That's one queen I don't think anyone wants to find.
Nope.
Get Billow says, receive my mug Friday. Drinker, love it. Yes, critical drinker mug. Nice one. Finbar White says, evening Drinker and MauLer, hope you're all well. What's the best three buddy cop movies of the 80s? Keep up the good work and keep smiling. For me, it's got to be Tango and Cash, Lethal Weapon, and fuck, what would my last pick be? Might be two of them, actually. Like Lethal Weapon 1 and 2. Quite enjoy both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I honestly, I want to do a review on Tango and Cash, actually. I fucking love that movie. It's just really fun. The Dog Productions said, hey, Drinker, love your content, man. My question is, what do you think of Anthony Starr getting arrested in Spain? I don't know anything about that. Let me find out. What the fuck did he do? What the fuck?
We talking about the thing in Spain?
Anthony Starr was filming a movie by director Guy Ritchie when the incident occurred in Costa Blanca. Starr was given a 12-month suspended prison sentence. For what? Right, he's been arrested for physically assaulting a chef in Spain, reported the Daily Mail.
Yeah.
After a speedy trial, Starr was given a 12-month prison sentence. He was also fined $4,000. Right. What, is he actually going to have to serve that sentence or what? Or did he just leave the country?
Can't say. I don't know.
All right. No, I didn't know anything about that, but now I do. I think he probably shouldn't have done it because it's probably caused him a lot of hassle.
Yeah.
Not MC said, "Hey fellas, this might be a problem. Sorry, this might be a me problem. But Drinker, how do you keep your writing from devolving into gratuitous sex and violence? I mean, what makes you think it doesn't?
I was gonna say, why would you avoid that?
Yeah, that's the fun part. Yeah, it's just, well, I don't know. You try and intersperse some other stuff in it, like, you know, character development and stuff, world building. You got to do a little bit of that, I suppose. Then it's on to the next sex scene. Zamblex said, you should watch 2521 on Netflix. It's a Korean drama with strong character-driven story. It's about fencing and growing up in Korea in the 90s. Okay. 2521. Don't know anything about that one, mate. Claudio Rogajan says, I forgot to say, but they really nailed the look of Gotham in the Batman. Very dirty and trashy. Then I remembered it was filmed in Scotland. Yeah, exactly. They actually had to clean it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Also said, forgot to ask, would you ever move from Scotland because you're always saying how bad it is, or if so, where would you go? I mean, the problem is, like, all the people I know are here, so where the hell else would I go? Where would I want to live? Wales? No.
Hey. This is a cool place.
Yeah. It's kind of like Scotland there, isn't it? There's lots of hills and there's lots of rain. So yeah. It would just be like trading in one damp, wet, cold place for another, I suppose. Man, if I had the money to get like a summer house or something, I would go and live in Florida or somewhere like that. Yeah, that would do. I could crash there for a little while. I could deal with that. Izzy Ingraselli says, now I'm confused. Drinker, are you Irish or Scottish? I am neither. I am Drinker.
Yeah, it's a whole different thing.
Yeah. Black Sun says, in your Cowboy Bebop review, you say actors are supposed to play someone other than themselves. Why do you complain about Colin Farrell's Penguin, Batman, and Gordon getting info from him? He is my, it's my favorite acting scene. Yeah, I mean, I guess when I talk about actors playing people other than themselves, I mean like people from different backgrounds and stuff. But I feel like it shouldn't really be necessary to transform their entire physical appearance. Like I say, you know, the Penguin's meant to be this kind of, I guess, like fat, balding, middle-aged man who's scarred and kind of ugly. There's plenty of actors that you could cast that look a lot closer to that than Colin Farrell. And I just kind of questioned, like, is he that amazing an actor that you needed to get him and put him through that much makeup and prosthetics? Or could you have just found someone who better resembled that character? I think that was probably my take on it.
Yeah, I don't think it's unreasonable at all to be like, why is Colin Farrell playing the Penguin? That is a strange choice. And then you see the picture and you're like, whoa, what? But okay, well, but why?
Yeah. I mean, it's impressive. Don't get me wrong. Like you look at the prosthetics that they put on him, and it's like I don't look at that and think that's fake as fuck.
Yeah, looks good.
And you know, I can clearly tell it's someone else. It looks great. It just seems so unnecessary.
It would be like if they announced fucking Elijah Wood will be playing Gandalf in the new version of Lord of the Rings. Be like, what? And then they put loads of old makeup on him, and he does a perfect impression of like an old, and he does like a really good job. We would all still be like, what the hell? What?
Yeah,
it's such a weird choice.
There's easier ways of doing it, I suppose. Was my take on it. And I never understand why, you know, filmmakers or anyone really like chooses to make life harder for themselves when I guess they don't need to. Finbar White says, Drinker, are you looking forward to the new Nick Cage film? Looks funny. What do you think of him possibly being in the Batman sequel? I want to see Nick Cage in fucking everything. Why is he not being in an MCU movie?
Yeah.
He doesn't even need to play a superhero. He could just be Nick Cage, and that would be enough.
I would have taken that opportunity if I were any director of a Marvel movie by now.
It's funny, like your first part of your question though is like, are you looking forward to the new Nick Cage film? Looks funny. I mean, that could literally be any Nick Cage film for the past like 10 years. The Real Hydro PX says, are you guys brothers or just two dudes who sound the same? How do I sound like you?
We do not sound the same. I would go as far as say we both got distinct voices that are definitely not the same.
Yeah, maybe you have to be British or something to see the difference. I don't know.
Maybe.
Black Sun says, I recommend the theatrical version of Return of the King. What's that? The ghost agreeing to help ruins the surprise when Aragorn arrives in the boat to the war. I'm trying to make sense of this super chat because it's a little bit convoluted. And focus on the tired soldiers of Gondor relieves when Theoden arrives. So I don't know. I guess the gist that they're going for here is that they focus too much on the Ghost Army in the extended cut.
Do they?
I don't know. I'm trying to puzzle out what they're saying because like they've kind of written this in an interesting way. So I'll just read it verbatim then. I recommend theatrical version of Return of the King, the ghost agreeing to help ruins the surprise when Aragorn arrive in the boat to the war and focus on the tired soldiers of Gondor relieves you when Theoden arrive. So you interpret that how you wish, sir.
It sounds like they're saying it ruined the surprise of the ghost army by showing too much of the ghost stuff. But I don't know, you need all of that to set up the fact that an army of ghosts are about to get into the story, you know?
Yeah, and that's in the theatrical cut. Like they talk about them quite a bit. Like Aragorn has to barter with them to get their help.
Yeah.
Okay. It sounded like a 40k orc there. I'm off to Dawa. Dennis Lopez says, you guys seen City of God, a movie about gangs and life in the Brazilian slums, notoriously one of the most dangerous places in the world. 92% fan rating on Rotten Tomatoes. Highly recommend. God bless. I've heard a lot about City of God, actually. I haven't seen it, but it's apparently meant to be great.
Not seen
it. Best name I can think of. So just curious, have either of you checked out Shad's book? If so, what do you think? Yeah, so that's what's it called? Shadow of the Conqueror, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't read it myself. But yeah, it's got pretty good ratings from what I've seen on Amazon. And he's had a mock-up of the sword from it made, which is just fucking typical Shad. It's just like, yeah, just make a fucking sword, of course. Not that I'm jealous or anything. Wazabista says, what I don't understand is why didn't the hobbits just ride the Great Eagles all the way from the Shire to Mount Doom? Yeah, that's that classic question, isn't it? How Lord of the Rings should have ended. A lot of people have suggested the Nazgul would have just attacked them and killed the Eagles, like intercepted them midair.
Yeah, there's a lot of answers to this question. I've always maintained that I think that the movie could have done a little bit better in making sure that wasn't a thought the viewers have.
I never liked the Eagles, like in the books or in the movies. These fucking things just show up and like it's a complete Deus Ex Machina. Like, oh yeah, we got stuck in an inaccessible place. Yeah, the Eagles are here. Oh, that was lucky, wasn't it? Easy E says, I feel bad for the actress who finally got the role of a lifetime and only gets remembered as not being a bearded woman. Yeah. I don't know, man. I think it would have been a tough thing to represent on screen. Conspiracy Columbo said Middle-earth maps are for a flat Earth. Coincidence? I think not. Tolkien was onto the truth about the flat Earth we live on today. We live on a flat Earth. Don't be a slave to the mainstream media and the global lie. Yeah, you keep You keep searching for your truth, sir. Taker610 said, MauLer approves of Ray killing Star Cruiser Chewie.
Wait, Star Cruiser Chewie? Oh, the thing about where you like hunt down Chewie in that hotel experience or whatever?
I don't know. I don't know about this hotel. I know it's like you're LARPing as Star Wars characters, aren't you? And you get given missions and stuff, but I don't know what the missions are. Can you kill people? Or you know, shoot Ray or something like that?
I'm not
That would
clear
make
on
it
it. I just
worthwhile.
thought it was ridiculous that like they have you play as the First Order hunting down the heroes. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, because you choose your own adventure, don't you? So you kind of choose your side. You know, you could be like the Jedi, or you could be a First Order. But I'm just, I don't know, man. Like as a Brit, I'm just imagining a bunch of British people doing that, and they would be stiff as a fucking board. Like they would be so shit at interacting with the actors and like taking part in this stuff. It would just be really weird and cringy. Like I don't know. Maybe Americans would do better with this kind of thing.
Maybe.
But you know, what is it, like 5-6 grand for like 2 days of doing this? I don't know, man. Like it wouldn't be the kind of holiday I'd pay like 6 grand for. The Justice 35 says, wanted to thank both of you for providing quality content. I spent the last 3 months being blind with 2 eye surgeries to restore my sight. Both of your content helped me avoid depression and despair. Holy shit, man.
Damn.
Well, I mean, hope you're feeling better now. I hope you've got your eyesight back.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we could help a little bit if that's the case. Black Sun said, have you seen the Resident Evil 9 trailer? No.
No.
Is that a thing?
Is that?
I would have heard about this, surely.
I feel like I would have heard of it, yeah.
Let me see. Nah, this is just a concept trailer, I think. It's just a concept one. So I don't think that's legit. Gary Herman says the Normans were from Normandy. Last time I checked my globe, Normandy is in France. Well, there you go. Yeah, that's fair dues. Sonny says
your opinion, okay?
Yeah, Normandy could be anywhere. Sonny says, would you guys consider doing a tier ranking video for all MCU characters, the way you did for the Game of Thrones characters? Oh, yes, you did that with Wolf, didn't you?
Yeah. And
I imagine that would take a really long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, there would be a lot of argument.
There would be.
And I feel like, I don't know if it'd be like this for you, but I feel like a lot of the time it would just come down to who I personally like rather than how particularly well written they were or whatever.
Yeah, it could come down to that. And, you know, to be fair, they've been going for so long, these characters, that is it even, like, who are we talking about, right? Like, is Cap fucked or is he not, depending on where you judge him from? Same for a lot of them. Like, Black Widow, like, is she good now or bad? And it's like, I mean, she's kind of shit now.
Good, bad, shit. Yeah, and what level do you go down to? You know? Do you have like Darcy from the fucking Thor movies? You have to rank her. Like,
bloody hope not.
Shadowhawk668 says, Drinker, watch 71. It's on Netflix right now. It's about a British soldier who gets left behind in Belfast in 1971 and has to survive the night. That sounds good, actually. I like that idea. Richard Blum says, hey guys, there was a recent Twitter drama over Berserk and the horrific violence featured in it. People said some funny stuff. Any chance either of you covering the Berserk manga or at least reading it on your own? Yeah, so I don't know if I'd read the manga, but like it's an anime as well, isn't it? So I am definitely up for watching it.
Yeah, it's an anime at least.
I don't know much about the drama that's going on Twitter because I only go on Twitter like maybe once every day or two.
Wait, there's a drama for Berserk, or?
Apparently, yeah. They're saying there was a recent Twitter drama over Berserk and the horrific violence featured in it.
Oh. Well, yeah, it's pretty violent.
Good. Chris Leclerc says, have either of you seen Raised by Wolves? I enjoy it. I was wondering what your take was. Cheers.
I've not seen it.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that I've heard pretty good things about. So hopefully it is good. B. Schneebly says, me again with the off-topic random question. I watched some video essay that discussed Nick Cage's expressionistic style of acting. Do you feel there should be more of this in Hollywood, or can it take you out of the movie? I think there should always be more Nick Cage in Hollywood. Expressionistic, I don't really how it. How would you even define Nick Cage's style of acting? Like it's kind of unique to him, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
And I think a lot of it's less the style and more the man behind it and the delivery and the personality there. And I don't think that's something you can really duplicate. That's Nick Cage right there. But yeah, I'm always happy to see him on screen. Ali Parsai says Big Fish was one of the best storytelling movies. I quite enjoyed Big Fish, actually.
Tim Burton, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Ewan McGregor and I think Albert Finney in it. Yeah, it's quite nice towards the end. It's a nice, I guess a study of like legacy and the kind of almost the lies that we tell ourselves about our lives, and then what you actually see behind it. But yeah, it's quite honest when it gets to the later parts of the movie about how people, I guess, end and pass away. But yeah, it's really well done, I would say. XSL said, I have ideas for a Star Wars sequel, but I can't remove the Star Wars part and make something more original. How do I separate enough to not be an obvious copy? Yeah, this is a tricky one. So you're essentially taking a piece of fan fiction and then turning it into something unique by itself. You're going to have to go a bit further than have like Jake Star Runner as your main character. You know, you're going to have to. Yeah, I don't know at what point like Disney would step in, or if you actually got this published and be like, yeah, this is cease and desist time. Yeah, I don't know. I guess if you get it to the point where an average person could read it and not make the connection, then you're probably doing okay. So like maybe have some test readers on hand and don't tell them what the intent behind it was, and see if they spot it. Luke Sylvie Claire said, great deleted scene with Cap in Avengers, Age of Ultron, Steve steps off the Quinjet with the Avengers, sees graffiti of his helmet on the wall with fascista under it. Steve sighs, then casually throws his helmet on the jet. That'd be an interesting one, actually.
Yeah.
Considering his history. Claudio Rogajan says, you forgot 48 Hours Drinker, classic Eddie Murphy. Yeah, fair play. Leo Film says Normandy is named for the Norse that conquered it. Angling and Saxony are located in Germany, hence the Old German and Old English being almost the same. There we go. We're getting proper history lessons tonight, man. Izzy Ingriselli says, I'm curious about your opinions on the Chronicles of Narnia. I have none. It's well known that Lewis and Tolkien were close friends. Do you have the same love for Narnia as Middle-earth? Nope, because I've not really read the books and I don't care about the movies. So, yeah, sorry, man. Claudio Rogajan, speaking of young Alfred the Batman, they are going for the Earth 1 Alfred, where he is initially hired as the Wayne head of security, eventually becoming the butler. Just wish they made it clearer. See, yeah, that would have made more sense in the context of the movie because he acts more like that.
We don't get year one Batman movie, and to be honest with you, the more I learned about this one's history, I'm like, man, I could have gone for it, I guess. I still don't need the Wayne's death scene. I just want to see a younger Bruce, I guess, with this Alfred. I wanted more them. It's just what I wanted. I didn't get it.
Yep. Yeah, we get some great names here. All right, what we got here? Black Sun says, I'm trying to say it's left as a cliffhanger if the ghost will help. So in the next scene, you see Aragorn. It appears as if he's alone, and surprise, the ghosts are here. Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with that. Like, my main issue is that the ghosts play far too big a part in the whole battle of Minas Tirith. They didn't do that in the books. Like the actual battle goes on for a lot longer, and it's a much harder fought battle. Like the ghosts don't just come in and save the day. Declan Lyons says, Sam and Frodo couldn't fly to Mordor because it would have brought the eye of Sauron upon them. That is true. El Sapo Verde.
There's a lot of reasoning for this. It's that the Eagles aren't a taxi service. It's the Nazgul, it risks them attacking and killing them. The arrows and assault of different things in Mordor, and just how it seems like a less riskier move to go by foot and carefully with a team or something. You know, there's a lot of things you can infer. I think that it would have been worthwhile to have a character in the movie ask about it, and then Gandalf to provide this sort of explanation.
Yeah. Because I think in the context of the movies, like, the Eagles aren't even set up or explained. They just fucking show up at one point, and that's it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, they come in and save the day. It's like, oh, great, the Eagles are here. Cool. El Sapo Verde says, enjoy your content, mate. Are you going to do a review of Disney's Turning Red, the kids' cartoon with the message? Oh, fuck that. That's about getting your period, isn't it? Yeah, I don't think that was written for me somehow.
Well, someone said the Wayne's death scene isn't in year one. It's like, obviously, it isn't a year before. I'm talking about the fact that would be the first movie, and then they would probably show that flashback. That is the likelihood.
Yeah.
But they still don't have to. You can resist.
The Black Sun said the Resident Evil 9 trailer was bait. I know you're like a fly to poo with those games. I mean, what can I say? I like me some Resident Evil. You know, I'm allowed to enjoy things in life, and that's just my little pleasure. You know, I've had a lot of good times with Resident Evil. Carpal Tumble says, no, Drunkler, no. The Berserk animes all drop off after a specific arc. Read the manga. But reading is hard, and watching stuff is easy. Claudio Rogajan, Nick Cage acting style is nouveau shamanism. No joke. Yeah. Bradman says, according to the History Channel, the Normans are from planet 136969 Alpha and came to England in order to wipe out the previous historical record of the Zohan alien subrace and gave us cornflakes. Of course they did, and you know, I'm glad the truth is out. Yeah. Quinn the Q says, Nick Cage and Ryan Reynolds as cop buddy movie. Yeah, that'll do. I would watch it. John Oakletree says, watch Sorcerer, might make a good production from production hell. Funny you should mention that, actually. My next production hell, I think, is going to be Justice League, because now that we've had all these revelations about Joss and
oh god,
all the shit that went on behind the scenes, is like that's got to be a production hell. Night King 01 says, Alfred is ex-military and trained Bruce like Earth 1. Okay.
It would be cool to see that.
Claudio Rogajan, Alfred even has the cane like the Earth 1 comics. Okay. Stuart Easton, what are your guys' thoughts on the Sin City films? Really like the first one. Didn't care that much about the second one. But
I'm the same, yeah.
Visually, fantastic. Great actors, great cast. Good stories in the first one, at least. Taker 610 says, in the sky there's sitting ducks, or eagles, as the case may be. Indeed. Yeah, like MauLer said, you know, sneaking in is probably going to serve you better here rather than like going in guns blazing, because if you get taken out, that's it. The ring falls into Sauron's hands and it's all over. What's this one? Have you watched Luca? What'd you think of it? I haven't watched Luca, I'm afraid, so I don't know, man.
Neither have I.
Sorry. I think I've got this one. Let's see if I can bring this up. Big Daddy MRI says, hey drinker, go buy a nice bottle of something you like. Love your content. I do miss the live videos of you and Az playing those video games. Be safe and thanks for the great content. Cheers, man. And thanks for that, Big Daddy MRI. Much appreciated, mate. What's the next one? MauLer. I mean, in the book, they don't flash back to it or anything like that. Frank Miller just assumes you know who Batman is. I mean,
even then they could still do it. I'm just saying they don't need to. I think we all feel that they just don't need to.
Yeah. The Justice. I wish I was still blind after watching the trailer and spoilers for the Rings of Power. Now I have to watch them murder Lord of the Rings and my beloved Galadriel. Like, I made a mistake. No, I'm glad you're feeling better though, man.
Yeah.
All right. Oh yeah, Bruce Willis. He's so bad now he can't even play himself. Fucking yeah. I watched some clips from Apex just after watching Red Letter Media cover it, and I was like, it can't be as bad as they said, and yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, the entire budget just went on getting Bruce, and then it's like, oh fuck it, we'll just shoot anything just to fill the 90 minutes up. Thanks for that donation, man. All right, cool. We've we got to the end of all the super chats, man. So we did it. Yay!
Excellent. And it only took 2 hours. How about that?
Yeah, nice and easy. We're getting pretty efficient at this.
Yeah.
I've for people that are watching this, thank you for all your additional super chats. Thanks for joining us for this, and thanks for my awesome mods who always do a great job. I am going to be doing a stream on Tuesday where I'm going to be interviewing Neil Marshall, who directed Dog Soldiers and The Descent and Doomsday, because he was nice enough to get in touch with me and he was interested in coming on. So I'll be chatting with him a little bit about like his career and the movies he's made. So kind of looking forward to doing that actually.
Sounds awesome.
And then hopefully should be good. And then on Thursday, we got open bar coming up, so I'll need to get organized for that. Or do what I normally do and wait until like the day before then desperately try and get guests sorted out. But yeah, anyway, thanks for all of that, guys. Appreciate it as always. And for now, that's all I've got for today. So go away now.
Bye-bye.